You want to get into Warhammer 40k, but you've got no clue where to start? You're in the right place.
Assemble.
You can jump to the different timestamps in the frames around me. I'll be covering a brief introduction into the universe, the video games that are associated with it, and all the different gaming you can do. Painting itself, how do I assemble and paint my guys? The tabletop, what do we actually do there? I'll cover a tiny bit of the massive fiction universe here. I'll talk a little bit about the community online, where you can find them, and what they're like. Towards the end of the show, I'll give a few of my own suggestions as to easy ways or digestible ways that people can get into 40k. How do I break the surface? Let's get right into it. Warhammer 40,000 is a dark, dystopian, grim universe set in the 41st millennium. It is a gruesome, genocidal, and outright unfair universe where life is cheap. So cheap, in fact. 1,000 highly talented human psychic sorcerers are sacrificed every day just to maintain a living corpse sat on a golden throne. That kind of sets the scene. Warhammer 40,000 is probably most iconic for its tabletop miniature figurines. Hobbyists will collect these, assemble them, and then finally paint them before taking them onto the tabletop to fight against other players in large pitched battles on pre-constructed battle terrain. As we'll see in the coming minutes, the hobby is vast. From creativity, design, and painting, over to battlefield tactics and strategy and real storytelling. My greatest recommendation, or my best piece of advice, look at it as a combination of a whole bunch of different hobbies all united under one common community. So let's break it down. 40,000 has everything from RTS classics like the Dawn of War series, one of the greatest third-person shooters of all time in Space Marine, first-person action shooters like Dark Tide.
Oh, this guy wants it. Fuck off.
Which you can watch yours truly play every Tuesday. Bolt Gun, which is an excellent arcade-style shooter. RPs like Rogue Trader. 4X strategy in games like Gladius. Turn-based tactics in games like Battle Sector. If you like to play video games, there's over 50 to choose from within the 40k universe. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. Collecting, assembling, painting, detailing, and finishing is considered by a lot of hobbyists within 40k to be the uppermost echelon. Spoiler alert, it is expensive, painstaking, time-consuming. Like me, you're probably shit at it, but in my opinion, it is the most rewarding segment of the hobby. Now let me be clear, you do not have to be a competition or commission level painter to be able to engage. You can get your troops battle ready with a few coats of paint and some consistent livery. In my opinion, taking the time to concoct some sort of homebrew backstory for your army that gives them a unique color scheme, separates them from the rest, and then taking the time to make it happen, even if it looks rough, and you have an army that's ready to play or just be set out on display that's entirely your own and unique against anyone else. And like most things that you put a lot of time into, it's a reward in and of itself. As beautiful as your minis may or may not be, they actually have a purpose. Each of them comes with a specific stat line, different gear and weapons and abilities, many of which are customizable. There's a handful of different game modes you can play on the tabletop, and each come with their own unique set of guidelines. There's a bit more to it, but for today's purposes, we'll keep it simple. But let's break those apart. There's open play, matched play, and narrative play. Open play is as it sounds. It's almost entirely down to the decision of the players on what the scenario and what the rules will be like. This could be anything from a heated duel between two small groups of super elite troops. It could be a small bastion fighting against untold waves and hordes of enemies coming at them. Whatever it is, it's a bit of you make up the scenario. Matched play is designed to give as balanced and competitive competitive a game as possible to the players. There's a huge set of different mission packs to choose from, and it's all about tactical intelligence, anticipating unseen variables, and deeply considering your army composition before you get into the fight. And last but not least is narrative play, like 40k's answer to role-playing. You will pick one of a number of Crusade factions, and they all have predetermined longer-term missions and objectives, as well as specific Crusade faction rules. You'll end up tracking your troops' progression on what are called Crusade cards, where you can see battle by battle how they're performing, who's actually ranking up. You can even collect items and abilities, special weapons as you go along. It's designed to bring an element of storytelling, and where the battle doesn't just begin and end on each unique tabletop. Warhammer 40,000 has a gargantuan online community. As well, it's not that far away in real life. The community has everything. People who are wholly dedicated to making content about the lore, competition-level painters sharing their amazing artwork, hardcore gamers, tabletop wizards. Across every social media you can imagine, from Reddit to TikTok, there is a large, active, passionate community for the Warhammer 40k scene. Those who have actually gotten into it realize that it takes a variety of tools, skills, and time to actually engage with. And so people recognize that in one another and don't put each other down for the quality of their work or how they enjoy it. It's open to just about everyone. Warhammer 40,000 is one of, if not the, most broadly and deeply written universe across all of fiction. There's over 600 different novels to choose from as of 2023. That's a library in and of itself. There's everything from 100-page standalone ebooks over to decade-spanning series, which started 20 years ago and are only now reaching their conclusion. There's so much literature in this space, so much fiction, that I won't try and highlight all of them or different specific ones. If you're going to pick one up because of how integral it is to the universe as a whole, I would recommend starting with the Horus Heresy. As we've discussed, there are numerous ways to engage with the Warhammer 40,000 universe and its lore. The universe is deep, it's broad, and it's kooky, and there's something in it for just about everybody. So to tie things off, I thought I'd share a couple of suggestions. If you're thinking about it, where could you start? The Primarchs. The Primarchs are integral figures throughout the 40k universe and its lore. Imagine 20, although technically 18 but really 19, we'll get into that another day, 20 superhuman beings created by the closest thing that humanity has to a god. They all have their own distinct personalities, unique and strange backstories. Each of them was given one of the Space Marine legions to lead into battle. I think that the Primarchs are a great opportunity to easily immerse yourself in a segment of the Space Marine lore and start to figure out who you think is cool. My other suggestion would be look into one of the specific factions or races. 40k is incredible. It's got 33 unique playable factions that you can field an army from all of them. You've got tons of options of who you might go for, which style might suit you the best, who you think looks the coolest, or who you think has the nastiest story behind them. My recommendation is get yourself onto Google, get yourself onto YouTube, and nerd out. Whether it's over the Primarchs, one of the factions, or anything else, you're gonna find yourself down a rabbit hole that lasts 20 years and probably ekes out every penny from your bank account. But hey, welcome to 40k, baby. And remember, Astartes, Melior, Imperador.
Astartes, assemble.